And now we are now talking about the instinct and defense mechanism. So, Freud considered sexual behavior and aggression to be instinctive drive throughout the animal. And the sexual kingdom, he argued aggression helped animals to obtain need, food, and territory, and sexual behavior maintains species. So, as such, both are necessary for survival. So, in our species, however, this aggressive tendency and sexual desires runs head on into cultural taboos against explicit sexual actions and uncontrolled violence. So, and also, and then sa mga sexual something like that, the desires, meron na tayo nabuo ng mga defense mechanism how to avoid of that. And Freud believed that the struggles between biological drives and social inhibitions produces anxiety, and that the ego often relies on defense mechanism to control and handle the anxiety effectively. So we have the number one is the denial. So when we see denial, it is used often to describe those who seem unable to face reality or admit an obvious truth. Example is denial. Denial is an outright refusal to admit or recognize that something has occurred or is current occurring. So, like example, someone asking you, sabi, for example, drug addict or alcoholic often deny that they have been a problem, while victims of traumatic events may deny that the events occurred. Yeah. So, one of the best example is that is, like example, tinanong yung gender mo. Sabi, ano yung gender mo? So, since nahiya ka, sabay, nag-una yung, so, di ba ano ka, ganito ka, gay ka, or something like that. Sabi mo, hindi, ano, o ganito, ganyan. So, that is denial. The next is the repression. So, act to keep information out of the conscious awareness. However, these memories don't have disappear. They continue to influence our behavior. For example, a person who has repressed memories of abuse suffered as a child may later have difficulty forming relationship. So, like example, yung bata is nakaranas ng rape when she is a child, still a child, no? So, paglaki na is mahihirapan siyang lumapit o magkaroon ng relationship with the other or forming relationship with the other person. The next is the displacement. So, displacement involves taking out of frustration, feeling, and impulses on people. So, objects that are least threatening. Displaced aggression is a common example of this is a defense mechanism rather than express our anger in ways that could lead to negative consequences, like arguing with boss. So instead express our anger toward a person or object that possess no threat, such as our spouse and also our children or pets. So when is the displacement, kumbaga yung kasi in this time kasi meron ka pang kumbaga you're aware. So since you don't want to have positive effect or negative effect in the future, so maghanap ka ngayon ng kumbaga i-replace mo doon sa mga bagay na gusto mong gawin. Like example yan, or your boss. So instead awayin mo siya, doon mo lang ipalabas yung galit doon sa kanya, sa yung child, spouses, or pets. Then next is the sublimation. So sublimation allow us to act out unacceptable impulses by converting this behavior into a more acceptable form. For example, a person experiencing extreme anger might kick a box and means of feeling pros action. Freud believed that sublimation was a sign of maturity that allows people to function normally in socially and acceptable ways. So, yung displacement and the sublimation is meron silang similarity. No? So, yung dito naman is, dito mo pinapalabas mo yung galit mo or something unacceptable mo na ugali dun sa mga bagay para may palabas mo yung galit. The next is the projection. So, yung projection naman is the attribution of one's own undesirable thoughts or characteristics to other people. For example, someone who still and incorrectly assumes other people cannot be trusted. No. So, like example, nalaman mo yun na isang tao yan is magnanakaw. So, at the next or in the future, hindi mo na siya maaasahan kasi napaproject na baka nakawin na yung something na nasa iyong bahay. The next is intellectualization. So, works to reduce anxiety by thinking about events in a cold clinical way. This defense mechanism allows us to avoid thinking about the stressful emotion aspect of a situation and focus only on the intellectual component. The next is the rationalization. So, involves explaining an unacceptable behavior or feelings in a rational way or logical manner, avoiding the true explanation for the behavior. For example, is a person who is turned down for a date might rationalize the situation by saying they weren't attracted to the other person anyway. So, because of one person na turn down siya, so kumbaga nilahat niya na yung sitwasyon. No? So, hindi na siya attract in the other person. The next is the regression. So, when confronted by stressful events, and people sometimes abandon coping strategies and event to patterns of behavior used earlier in the development. The next is the reaction formation. So, when you say reaction formation, when an individual exhibits and the conscious level believe that she possesses feelings opposite to the possesses at the unconscious level. So, an example of reaction formation would be treating someone you strongly dislike in an excessively friendly manner in order to hide your true feelings. So, kumbaga, dito yung nalabas yung pagiging monoplastic ang tao ko. Yan. Reaction formation. So, kahit hindi mo siya like yung tao na yun. So, kumbaga nakikisama ka na lang para lang kumbaga makikisama ka lang sa kanya para feeling niya gusto mo pa rin siya kahit hindi mo siya gusto. Okay. So, and according to Sigmund Freud, personality is most established by the age of 5. So, yan. Magsisimula na yung yung personality at the age of 5 years old. Remember that. So, early experience play a large role in personality development and continue to influence behavior later in life. So, personality developed through a series of childhood stages during which the pleasure-seeking energies of an id becomes focused on a certain erogenous areas. This psychosexual energy or libido was described as the driving force behind behavior. So, if the stages are completed successfully, the result is a healthy personality. So, pag may isa dyan na hindi na-complete, so possible na hindi healthy yung iyong personality. So, if a certain issues are not resolved at the appropriate stage, fixation can occur. So, a fixation is individual will remain stuck on that stage. So, like for example, yung bata is hindi siya masyadong na fix yung in terms of pagdidid So, it's possible na pwede niya katatilatin yung kanyang kuko at the end of the time. So, third stage of psychosexual development. So, we have number 1 is oral stage. So, sa oral stage, dyan para bilong yung 0 to 2 years old. So, during this stage, the infant primary source of the interaction occurs through the mouth. So, the rotting and sucking reflex is especially important. So, ayan. So, dapat, kaya nga, di ba, mayroon tayong natawag na breastfeeding. So, the infant derives pleasures from the oral stimulation through the gratifying activities such as tasting and sucking. Primary conflict at this stage at the weaning process, the child must become less dependent upon caretaking. So, next is the oral stage. So, sa oral stage, is dito na pabilang yung 2 to 4 years old. So, the primary focus of the libido was on controlling bladder and bowel movements. So, ayan. Diyan na tayo matuto paano tayo matulabas ng paano tayo magbigay ng sign. And next is the phallic stage. So, yung phallic stage is belong dyan yung 4 to 6 years old. Between 4 to 6 years old, pleasure's gratification of the child shift from the anal to the genital regions, which Freud calls the phallic stage. The next is the latency stage. So, sa latency stage, dyan na bilang yung 6 to 12 years old, characterized by absence of a dominant erogenous zone. So, many of the disturbing conflict feelings of child are buried in the subconscious mind. The number 5 is the genital stage. So, dyan na nabilong yung 12 years and up until something pagtanda na. Starting the onset of puberty, will develop strong sexual interests of the opposite sex. When in the early stage, the focus was solely in the individual needs and interests in the welfare of others grow and during this stage. So that's all for today, and yeah, see you in the next video, and hope you are learning something in this video.